I just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. That's 0 to 100K in less than 30 days. And the truth is, I didn't follow conventional wisdom. Some things, yes, but along the way, I found truths that work no matter your industry. So in this video, I'm gonna break it all down because these are my 9 non-obvious lessons on how I grew from 0 to 100K on Instagram. And if you wanna grow faster, then you're gonna wanna watch this video. Lesson 1 is absolutely critical. This is the biggest reason I was failing on Instagram before, because the most important factor of blowing up on Instagram is making videos that bless me. So in February this year, I started a new series called Apple a Day. And in that series, I ate an apple every single day until I hit 1 million followers. And as you can imagine, people weren't interested in watching me eat an apple because there was nothing I was doing to bless the viewer. And it wasn't until I started making content that actually blessed people's lives that I began getting traction and views. So if you're posting recklessly and you can't get more than 5,000 views on your videos, then I would ask yourself, are my views actually blessing the people who watch? And if the answer is yes, then I want you to ask yourself, how can I 10x, 100x, 1,000x this blessing? What would it look like if I made a video that could change someone's life? And until your video can change someone's life, I would keep on workshopping the idea, because once you get to that place, your views are gonna snowball. But this first tip is absolutely worthless if you don't get the second tip right, because the second lesson that I learned is what I call stop me. Because if your video doesn't stop me while I'm doom scrolling at 11 p.m. in bed, then there's no chance anyone else is gonna watch it either. So I have this hook I like to use where I do a trick shot with my knife. I throw an object in the air and I try and catch it on top of my knife. And I discovered that when I don't have tension in my hook, where I just make it look easy, people don't stop. But when I throw something on my knife and make it look really difficult, I get 100,000 views. And there's 101 ways that you can make people stop, whether it's colors, settings, scenes. The number one thing you want to add in your videos to stop me is tension. Because if I look at your life and I see everything's perfect, I'm scrolling. But if I see tension and challenge, then I'm interested in seeing whether or not you're going to succeed. But even after you've mastered the second lesson, you're not going to get more than 3 seconds of watch time on your videos unless you can master the third lesson, which is make me care. Now you might be thinking, that's harsh. But what I didn't know is there's actually this chemical that we can release in our viewers' brains that makes them care. If this viewer has more of this chemical, they're going to be more likely to follow you and care about your journey. And this chemical is called oxytocin. The question is, how do we release it in our viewers? And one of the easiest ways we can make people care is by actually being real on camera. And I don't know why, but that's so difficult for a lot of us to do because we view social media as a highlight reel where we have to perform. But actually, people are interested in hearing about your struggles. So when I started sharing about my struggles on the internet, people flocked like I was not expecting. But it's impossible to share our struggles in a real and authentic way if we don't sound real. Which brings me to my fourth lesson, which I see a lot of content creators absolutely butchering. There are people I know right now who could go from 100,000 followers to 1 million, no problem, if they just got this one lesson right. And that is, use your real voice. I remember back in May, I was posting videos twice a day, and my Instagram coach told me, Jesse, you sound fake. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I've been making videos for 15 years, and you think I sound fake? And he said, Jesse, I want you to use your real voice. I want you to sound like you're talking to your best friend. But you see, up until that point, I'd never worked on my voice, so all my videos sounded like, hey guys, today we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do that, and you'll never believe what happens next. And in order to be accepted by others, we put on this presenter voice when we're on camera, which is actually killing our views. But if you can learn how to talk to the camera like you're talking to your friend, you're gonna 10x your views, even if you're talking about the most random, boring nonsense. But the hardest part for me was figuring out, how do I get from this fake Logan Paul voice to my real friend voice? And the answer is simpler than you might think. Because what I did was I put a camera in front of me, just like I'm doing right now, and I talked to the camera for 20 minutes every single day. And I remember my coach told me, he said, Jesse, it doesn't count unless you make it public. And so I posted 20-minute videos of me talking to the camera every single day about my deepest fears and insecurities. And I'd have my wife judge the videos to see whether or not she thought I sounded authentic. And you're probably thinking, if I'm gonna be posting 20-minute videos online, that's a huge time commitment. But it doesn't have to be, because lesson number 5 that I learned is exactly the opposite of what I just said, and that is to post shorter videos. I was coaching a client named Kevin, and he was posting 4-minute videos on his page. And I remember I confronted him. I said, bro, like, how long did it take you to make this video? He said, oh, so many hours. I spent hours on this video. And I told him, how about you make shorter videos? And he said, no. I was like, why not? He said, I am giving the best quality I can to my viewers. And I said, bro, you have 400 views. I said, do you want to impress your 400 viewers, or would you rather go viral? And at the end of the day, he was like, Well, I'm talking to you, Jesse, because I want to go viral. I told him, I want you to start posting videos that are no longer than 20 seconds. 20-second videos, and I want you to post every single day. And you see, the thing was, he couldn't post every single day at the length that he was doing. But when he shortened down to 20 seconds, he can now post every single day. And so he, with a heavy heart, was like, okay, fine, Jesse, I'll do what you say. And this was after I yelled at him for 30 minutes. So he started doing what I said. He was posting every single day. And on day 7, he had a video that hit 149,000 views. And he did it authentically, being himself, but he was posting shorter videos. And I remember the first video that I had that went viral, it got 20,000 views, I got 4,000 followers. It was a 12-second video. And so if you're spending all your time making 1 minute, 4-minute feature films like Kevin, or even like me, like I was doing before I blew up, this is one of the things that's killing your growth, because when you make shorter videos, it allows you more freedom and flexibility at time. Which leads me to lesson number 6, which is post more, but not for the reasons you might think. Because I see gurus all over the internet saying you have to post every single day for the algorithm, and that is not true. If you see Mr. Beast, he posts once a month and he still gets 100 million views on YouTube. So there's no correlation between frequent posting and the algorithm favoring your videos. However, there is a reason why you should be posting every day, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Because when I started content this year, I was spending 25 hours per video. And people will tell you to post every single day. It was physically impossible for me to do a video every single day if I'm spending 25 hours on a video. But I thought the videos were great, but no one was watching them. No one was listening to what I was saying. And so my coach said, Jesse, for the next 30 days, I want you to post every single day. And I told him, I can't, that's impossible. He said, I don't care how you do it, just make it work. And so I took my phone and I just began filming these very short talking head videos where I would speak to the camera kind of like this. And it didn't take me any time to edit at all. And that was the only way that I could sustainably film every single day. But after 7 days of just talking to the camera, I blew up. But it wasn't because the algorithm favored me. It was because I was testing out new things every single day to find out what worked. Because every time you post is a rep. And every rep you make, you become stronger and you learn more. So the faster you rep, the more you will learn. And the faster you learn, the sooner you will blow up. So if you're spending 100 hours surfing YouTube trying to figure out how to make the perfect Instagram reel, you could have probably blown up in half that time just by posting every single day, not knowing anything at all. Because every single person has a set number of videos they need to post in order to learn the skills they need to blow up before they actually blow up. Now for me, it was around 500 videos. For the clients I work with, it's a lot smaller once they started working with me. For the guy I told you earlier, Kevin, who got 100,000 views, it only took him 7 videos. For my wife, who I worked very privately with, it only took her 1 video when she started working with me. And that's because going viral has nothing to do with how much effort you put into your video, but everything to do with how much you know. So the more often you post, the faster you will learn from your mistakes. Which leads me to the 7th mistake that I made when I was posting content. And this is a lesson that I actually learned in university, and that is pretend I'm new. Now, I've been preaching at church since I was 11 years old. So when I did my first public presentation in college, I thought I was the stuff. I thought I knew everything there was to know about public speaking. But my teacher challenged me on that. He said, Jesse, when you're giving your presentation, you're making the assumption that every single person in the room knows exactly what you're talking about. And he said, imagine if someone walked off the street and came into your presentation 5 minutes ago. They have no idea what's going on. He said, I want you to give a presentation so that that person who just walked off the street knows exactly what's going on after 5 minutes of you chatting about whatever it is you're going to chat about. And I felt humbled because he was absolutely right. But now I see so many content creators making the exact same mistake where they will film a video and they will act like the person they're talking to has watched all 30 videos in their series and knows exactly where they're at right now. But the one shift I made in my content is I started every single video for the first 5 to 10 seconds speaking as if you were a brand new viewer who's never heard of me before and who was watching my video for the very first time. And this is one of the only ways that Instagram is going to push your video out to new viewers, is if you can actually cause new viewers to feel comfortable enough to watch through your first 5 to 10 seconds. But this next mistake can cost you your entire viral future if you allow it to take root in your life. And that is lesson number 8, which is don't ghost success. Now you may be thinking, well, Jesse, that's stupid. Why on earth would I ghost success? And if you've gone viral before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because back in 2019, I had my first viral video that blew up past 300,000 views. But there was one small problem. And it was about homeschooling. And I had no intention of being known as that homeschooling boy. I wanted to distance myself from my homeschooling roots, and I had no idea that video would get that type of traction. And so I decided, you know what? That's nice, I got a viral video and all, but I'm gonna start making content about other stuff now, and people are gonna continuously watch my videos and follow me because they love me from the homeschooling video. And that was absolutely not true at all. The next video I posted completely flopped. No one watched it. And I felt depressed. I was like, wow, it felt so awesome. And now I have nothing. I completely quit that page. I never went back to it. I never posted anything meaningful there ever again. But what my audience wanted was for me to make more content about homeschooling, because that was why they viewed and that was why they followed me. And my biggest regret was a couple years later, we had the pandemic where everyone in the whole world decided they wanted to start homeschooling. And I realized if I had gone all in on homeschooling videos in 2019, I could have been an expert in the field, and it would have been very easy for me to have built a 6-figure business off of my status as being that homeschooler guy. But because I ghosted success, I missed out on a 6-figure business. So practically, what does this look like? Well, this brings us to lesson number 9. And to be honest, lesson 9 was very easy for me, but for some reason, the people I work with, it seems to be one of the hardest lessons for them to get. And I don't know where the insecurity stems from. And you may be even tempted to click off this video once you hear me mention the lesson. But this is one of the single most important things that took me to 100,000 followers in less than 30 days. But in order to understand this lesson, I need to take you back to the moment I actually blew up. So after 7 days of posting every day, I was depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed in the mornings. I had just lost my job and I felt like an absolute failure in my family. I didn't know how I was going to provide for my wife. I was stuck at home and I felt like I was forced to be a stay-at-home husband. And so on day 7 of posting every day, I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a video and I'm just going to rant about how I feel forced to be a stay-at-home husband. So I made the rant, I added some fancy footage of me cooking rice. I told myself, I'm gonna try and make this interesting. And I posted that video online. That's the video that got me 20,000 views and 4,000 followers. And the moment I saw that it succeeded, I told myself, I am going to double down and make the exact same video tomorrow, but I'm gonna change a few of the visuals and maybe a couple of the words. I made the video again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And 7 days later, I had grown 50,000 followers. I don't know why a lot of people are so afraid to post the exact same video, but when you get a video that pops off, people begin following you, they are following you because they want to see more of that video. So the question is, how can I take that video and make a better version of it that is gonna bless my viewers even more than they are already blessed right now? And so now you're probably thinking, well, great, Jesse, I gotta make the same video, but how do I even get that first viral video that I can make more of? But there's a lot of things I didn't have time to mention in this video, like cinematic storytelling. So if you want my free PDF guide on how to tell cinematic stories, you can get it in my free school down below. I also chat with my students, so I'll see you there.